What is that shiny metallic stuff? I don't know. Guess we're going to find out on this episode of BeckBuilt. This is the 1960 Ford F100. Let me show you some more stuff. So I started to remove this pan right here, and things started falling on my head. Look at that. That's looks like chunks of pressure plate. Something in this clutch had collapsed and absolutely destroyed itself in there, and we got to find out what. Well, if you notice, if you look at that flywheel right there, that shit's ground down to nothing. Like, look, there it is. Focus. We're definitely gonna need to get a new flywheel, possibly pressure plate as well. I'm looking at this. Well, I'll tell you what, if we didn't have to stab the transmission, you could almost just change the clutch here, but no, there's chunks missing there. We're gonna have to take this apart the old-fashioned way and see how bad it is, because that flywheel is definitely not starting a truck anymore, looking like that. And let's see if we can show it to you. I've had a considerable amount of chunks of metal and stuff fall out when I remove this pan right here. Alright, so I know it's a bad angle, but I've got this transmission pulled back quite the distance, and it's sitting on top of this transmission jack right here. And so we're going to see if we can't go ahead and wibble and wobble it out of here a little bit at a time. Oh my goodness, it's bright out here, so I'm gonna call that transmission being out. Let me get out of my way and I'm gonna get to that clutch. You can see we got the clutch off, and there's some things missing right here. There's just a few of them. I'm glad that the clutch wore out and collapsed and did its thing when it did, because we were going to have problems with that real quick. Man, if you look right here, you see these gashes in there? That was a foreign object or something that came off of the vehicle, and it was trying to punch its way through this, what is this? Basically a flywheel clutch cover. That sucks. And here we have the clutch and the clutch and pressure plate. And the clutch, as you can see, it's gone. It's thin. It was about to go anyhow. And the pressure plate has some odd discoloration and some bluing here and there. Owen went ahead and got the entire setup, so we're good on that. We're just going to replace everything and make sure that he's Gucci this time around. So that's cool. So for the time being, we're on a standstill with this truck till the clutch comes in. So it's a little difficult to see because the throttle cables are in the way right now. But you see there's clearance right there so that the engine mount can clear Clarence, except for he always has to replace these every couple of years just due to the heat. So we're gonna make a heat shield out of this today. He had cut some galvanized for it, but I'm actually going to go another step further. I've got some nice aluminum that ought to disperse the heat pretty quickly and protect it. Let me show you what the real problem child is. It's over here on this side. Now when we put the headers on, I mean, they missed this by like millimeters, and we banged the headers in already, and as you know from watching that episode of Engine Masters, it's not going to do anything to our flow. It doesn't have much flow being shorties anyhow, but this is the real problem child, and this is what we're making the heat shield for originally. I just decided we're going to do it for both sides. This is the aluminum I'm going to use. You can see it's pretty thick. I think it says it's an 1/8 inch by 2 inch wide. I already got my first bend on there, so now we've got to do the little bit of height, bend it like this, another 2 1/4 inches here towards up, cut it off, and drill my holes, and that'll be able to wrap around the bottom of the mount side and the top and protect that a bit more from the heat. So this is what we got banged out so far. I got to drill the hole for it, which is probably end up doing that with a step bit. And I think I'm going to try to polish it out and see what it looks like. Alright, so I got it sanded. There's a lot of dentions here from hammering it out, but I sanded it back down smooth again. The metal brightened up. I'm going to leave the inside dirty. You're not really going to see that much. Let's go see what it looks like when I polish the outside. Alright, check that out. I mean, you can see the hammer dings, but I don't have a proper breaker. It'd look even better than this. But that's it all polished up. So let's get that mount off so we can mark these holes and drill this mother out and get the first one in place. So that's it. You see what I did there? I just drilled out the size of the bolt and notched it. So instead of having to take all this jazz off, all I have to do is loosen that up and slip this into place, and boom, heat shield. Alright, and that's what it looks like when it's installed. Just kind of pushes in there, and there's enough room to get a wrench in there. I'm definitely going to have to, put a stronger washer on the top half of that, tighten it down, but the header ought to go in and it ought to not melt the engine mount now. So this is one of those moments where I realize that I'm only doing this way because that's the way it was before and the person said it had to be that way, but I'm realizing something here. Alright, so if you move all this mess of wire right here and you see how here's the flat bar coming off the conversion kit and it's sandwiching between two bushings. Now this would do the same exact thing if I would just take this bushing off and put it in from underneath and just have only the head of the bolt up here, which would leave all the clearance in the world for the headers, and I don't even have to do this. So with that being said, I'm going to have to redo these engine mounts and properly. And this is why I should always look at stuff and reevaluate it. So as you can see now, the header's on. There are no fitment issues whatsoever, and that bushing that was on top is now below on the bottom half of the original Jeep mount. So it still dampers the vibration and does its job without getting in the way of the header and melting. So basically they've been in wrong for 15 years until this morning when I figured it out. But on another note, the ones I did make, the heat shield, boy, it looked good. It didn't look good. It looked good. Shame I can't use it. It's another day and another dollar. Alright, so we have an engine lift here, but we have an engine that's been sitting underneath this table over here, basically in the mud. You know engine lifts don't want to roll on the mud. So my plan, what is my plan? Well, my plan is to take two of these 2-inch angle iron pieces and try to make quote-unquote tracks by setting it up inverted this way for the wheels to roll into, so that maybe, just maybe, I can roll this bad muff over there onto the concrete and be able to put this motor on the stand. Now, if you guys remember this engine, I haven't touched it since I got it home. This was the motor that I brought home by putting it into the trunk of the Toyota Tronic X-Wing Dream Machine. Look at that, it's full of lizards and bugs. Lizards and bugs. So, I'm trying to shake as much debris off of it as possible so I can get it uncovered here. It's been under here for quite a while. You can see my dog's been tunneling and sleeping underneath this thing. I'm just hoping that it's not full of water and dirt. Shit, almost fell holding the phone and filming. Alright, look at this thing. That's not too bad. Seemed to have survived. This is a Chevy 350 that I bought off of a gentleman who has a shop here in town, and he sold it to me for $500 with no intake and carb. Said it ran really good, and I could tell because the intake ports on this thing are super clean. It came with the long tube headers, came with a starter, the flywheel, and fuel pump, and everything I need but the intake and carb. It even has a brand new AC compressor on there, so I might try to retrofit AC onto this truck. Either way, this is what we've got to get on the stand today so I can break it down and start rebuilding it. Set up. Got my wheels sitting in angle iron. I try to pull the forks out until the front wheels lined up nicely with the back wheels. Try to parallel this as much as possible. Hopefully I can just push it down the track, scoop this up, and pull it back over there as close as possible. At least get it on the stand, and then Robert can help me pull it up onto the driveway the rest of the way. There it is up on the stand. So I think what we're going to get going to do next, you ever listen to the way I talk sometimes? Anyhow, we're going to get this belt assembly off the front of it, and I'm really curious about getting the timing cover off because I want to see if it's got a cam or not. And from what I understand, it might have an RV cam in it, which if that's the case, that's what I was going to put it in anyways, because I don't want too much of a hot rod engine. I just want a lot of low end torque. So when we put it in the 4x4, that's all we want is low end torque and the ability to pull trailer. So let's get cracking on this. So apparently I'm going to have to go purchase or rent a power steering pump puller or go borrow Byron's, but I've got it down this far so far. I'm going to do a little cleaning around the edge of this timing cover so I don't have to worry about anything falling in and catching, and then we're going to go ahead and pull this bad mother off and see what kind of cam is on here. Alright, so now we got the front of the motor stripped off. I'm going to do some quick mod cleaning up on there so that we can get that cover off, see what we're working with. But I might as well go ahead and clean everything else and get the starter off while I'm at it. Leave the plugs in so I don't have to worry about that. Not too bad for a stage 1 cleanup. Let's go ahead and pull this cover off and see, first of all, if it even needs a timing chain, and try to find out what kind of cam it has. Cover off. There's still oil in there. Yeah, look at this. Glad I got a timing chain. He wore this one out. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this gear off and see what kind of cam I got. Well, I'm gonna go look some stuff up because I'm not sure, but there are no markings on the end of this cam saying whether or not it's different. And the gear on here is a factory GM gear. It had about an inch of slack in it. So while I'm at it, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna look up this casting number here. And I'm gonna go ahead and look up the casting number on the heads and the block, find out exactly what I got so I can order some stuff for this thing. We've got some good news and we've got some bad news. The good news is I checked the block number for this engine and it's a 80 through 85 casting number, which means they used these 350s and a lot of Camaros, Corvettes, and trucks, which I don't mind because they came in a 2-main and a 4-bolt main. This one's probably going to be a 4-bolt main. It's looking to be. The bad news is, you come up over here and you get in here on that number right there. You see that 462264? I wrote it down right here on my hand.
Ooh, I got a close-up of it.
Now you're alright, look. I wrote it down right here on my hand. You're not even, are you? Yeah, you are, my bad. Okay, so what that means, from what I understand, is these are the worst heads ever made by Chevrolet. They got cheap on their material and they made a thin cast, so therefore these heads are kind of prone to cracking. These actually, if you look though inside the ports and everything, they're super clean. They haven't been run bad, they haven't been run dirty, they haven't been run hot. I have no doubt that this motor runs perfectly fine. The only problem I'm going to have is I don't want to put a time bomb into our truck. That's not it, our truck's behind that one. But I don't want to put a time bomb into our truck. So what we're going to do here is actually just kind of pack this motor up for now. We're going to end up putting in the 5-speed I just got from Kelly at the 337 Outcast guys on the back of this, so we can go ahead and mock the transmission into the van. So pardon the mess and the oxidation, you see it just wipes right off. So what's going to happen is I'm actually going to pull this 350 here, which is an 88 to a 94 casting number on the heads and the block back here. And I just found out that right there, that number is the date. This is actually a 1990 block, so I've been looking up correctly. So we're just gonna go ahead, since I already got this pretty intake and carburetor set up on this engine, we're just gonna pull this engine out of this van, and this is what we're gonna end up using in Rusty. It already has a serpentine belt on the front end of it. It has a 4.3 liter V6 harmonic balance and water pump, reverse water pump on the front. All I've got to do is finish running the vacuum, what do you call them damn things, the vacuum bungs and all the heater hoses and stuff. So it's going to save me a lot of time, even though I'm going to have to re-pull this out of this van again. But in order to not waste our time and have like a good trailer puller, we're just going to go with this motor here instead of the other one. The other one will end up in this van, but we're thinking about getting an Edelbrock top-end kit for it and dropping about $1,500 on it to build it first before we put it in here with the 5-speed standard that we got from Kelly. So yeah, man, we're busy. I can't make anything easy. Nothing ever comes easy for me, and I always make these decisions that create so much more work for myself than I honestly need. But other than that, though, love what you do, and we'll see y'all next time.